We are joined by Bobby Blanco from massinsports.com. Today, we are going to weigh the pros and the cons for Blake Butera because Nats fans, there are plenty.
You are Locked On Nationals, your daily Washington Nationals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. And I'm your host, Ryan Clary. We are joined today by Bobby Blanco from massinsports.com. Later on in today's program, Bobby and I will be discussing potential trades that are rumored to potentially happen, maybe. CJ Abrams, MacKenzie Gore. I've got some thoughts on MacKenzie Gore and really just kind of what Nationals fans should be expecting. So we'll see what Bobby thinks about those thoughts later on in the show today. But we start off discussing some of the pros and the cons of Blake Butera. But before that, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. And right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So download the app today. Bobby Blanco, it has been a while, my friend. How are you?
It has been a while, Ryan. Thanks for having me on. I'm glad to be back. Glad to be talking some interesting Nats. It can be a very interesting offseason for this club, as we've already seen with the hires of Paul Toboni and Blake Butera to lead this organization into a new era, the Toboni-Butera era, if you will. So that'd be pretty interesting. Glad to be back.
Yeah, no, this is going to be fun. I mean, it's been a while. You are Father Blanco now at this point, and there's Baby Blanco who's actually at preschool today. So hopefully, Baby Blanco's enjoying day one of preschool.
He's right now for his morning nap. He's chilling at daycare today.
Yeah, he's doing just fine. Speaking of babies, the Nationals just hired a baby of a manager, Blake Butera. I mean, Bobby, the 33-year-old jumped from low A, being a player development guy, a manager in low A, then makes the jump to the major league. So first and foremost, what was your reaction to that hire?
Yeah, this past couple of seasons, I've had to get used to covering players who are younger than me. This is the first manager I'll ever cover that is younger than me. He is, I believe, 3-4 months younger than me. 33 years old. Blake Butera, coming from the Rays organization. I have to be honest, had never heard his name before. Had no clue who this guy was. When I saw Jeff Passan tweet it, I literally did that gif from the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Who is this guy? And in the moment, it's up there now, but doing a quick Google search, he didn't have a Wikipedia page. He didn't have a bio page on MLB or MILB.com. I had no clue who this guy is. Didn't seem like a lot of people knew who this guy was. And then the more information we get coming out of how, he was a late round draft pick by the Rays out of Boston College, a Louisiana guy, played 2 years in the minors, never higher than low single A ball, and then immediately went into coaching and was a coach for the Rays. I believe started in the rookie ball league and then the single A league. And then by 25 years old, he was managing their rookie ball team. The manager. Well, what were you doing? That's what Ryan, you're still 25, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm 25 years old now.
You're exactly 25. So what would you be doing if you were managing a professional rookie baseball team? Of guys that you're only 2 or 3 years older than. That's just insane. And then 2 years later, he got bumped up to low single A to manage their team. And oh, by the way, he finished in first place all 4 years he was a manager and won back-to-back championships when he got up to single A. So the guy knows ball, which we found out. And they moved him, the Rays did, to their player development side of the front office. In his, not even 30 yet. I think he was 31 years old. He's given the keys to one of the best player development organizations in Major League Baseball. And he was in charge of all of that, which is just, again, insane. At 30 years old, I was, stressing getting married. And this guy is in charge of an entire professional baseball team. And the player development of some of the top prospects in the game, because the Rays do such a great job of drafting, signing international prospects, and then developing them into major leaguers. He was in charge of all of that. And then now he's going back to the dugout, not just at single A rookie ball. He's going to a major league dugout. So he went from player to coach to manager to player development head, now back to manager, but in a major league clubhouse. It's a truly incredible rise for Blake Butera. I think we'll look back at this, and if this turns out well for Toboni, Butera, and the Nationals, we're gonna look back at it and be like, wow, what a huge and successful gamble Paul Toboni took on this guy, and this organization took on this guy, because he was literally, again, and this is not a shot at him, it's just the way it was, a kind of a no-name guy, and if it turns out well, wow, what a home run by Paul Toboni, and basically his first major hire as president of baseball ops in DC.
I think you summed it up perfectly there, Bobby. Like, you said that this is a gamble. This is a huge gamble, but here's the good thing about this. Like, there's really not much to lose here. Like, again, being a manager in baseball, like, obviously it's going to be a hard job, but it's not like being the head coach of an NFL team where it's like you have a game plan. Like, typically the game plan can kind of write itself. And obviously you really lean on your front office. Paul Toboni, I believe at this point, will be very hands-on in this operation, which is kind of what all the good teams do. But I think what Butera, just the kind of weird thing of it is just the track record. This guy comes from a low A manager to the front office, back into the manager's clubhouse. And of course, like, this is going to be something I think a lot of Nationals fans, even just a lot of baseball people in general, look back and say, why did they make this hire? Like, I think I was listening to this podcast, forgot what it's like AJ Przinsky and all those guys talking baseball, I think is what it is. And they were like,
not fair.
Something like that. Whatever. Who cares? And they were like, why do you have a player development guy as your manager? And like, these are like 45-year-old old school players. I'm like, here's the thing though. Like, if you look at the Nationals right now, they're not expected to win. So if this does go bad, and if this is not the correct hire, then okay, like, clean slate, you start new in a few years. But like, the Nationals really have nothing to lose with this. And I think that's one of the biggest pros of getting Blake Butera here, because honestly, like, the expectations are not like, oh, he's going to come in and change everything. No, This is not Bruce Bochy. This is someone who is new. This is someone who is fresh, and he has a weird background. Really, the only thing that could happen with this is, oh, it goes well, and you have player development at the major league level and someone who understands how to really coach up talent, because that is exactly what has gone wrong here in DC. We've talked about the front office issues, but also at the coaching level, it feels as if there has not been the best coaching here under Davey Martinez. And so now you have someone who has a track record of developing in a front office, but also managing and being successful at it, even if it's at a low A level. That is still something that I think is a good quality to have. So I don't necessarily see the cons in this. I guess the cons would be lack of experience, 33 years old. How will guys respond to him, especially if it's like, I don't know, if you sign a 36-year-old starting pitcher, like, how will they respond to a 33-year-old manager telling you what to do? I think that's really the only con from this, but the pros are, they just outweigh it for me at this point.
Yeah, I think Paul Toboni had the biggest question he had to answer after taking this job and then starting this search. And to his credit, he didn't really answer this or tip his hand at all when we talked to him during his press conference or after his press conference. When we asked about how he's going to approach hiring a new manager. But the biggest question was, how do I view this team? Do I view this team as it's close to winning, which the previous regime basically thought ahead of this past season?
They said it out loud.
They said it out loud. And do I view this team as close to winning and they just need a veteran manager to bring them over the hump? Or do I view this team as a little further behind that schedule, and let's play the long game and maybe bring a younger guy in who can help, one, relate to these young team, and two, help develop at the major league level? And we got our answer. I mean, he clearly views this as a more long-term project than just saying, all right, let's run it back in 2026 and let's get to the postseason. Let's add some players. And, James Wood, here we go. MacKenzie Gore, let's go. No, he clearly sees this as a more of a long-term project by bringing in a 33-year-old. As the roster currently stands, Trevor Williams is the only one older than Blake Butera by a couple of months. He's like 2 weeks younger than myself. So everyone else is in their early to mid 20s, and there's no one else really that close to Blake Butera's age. So this is a younger guy, and this is not a shot at Davey Martinez and his staff, but it just was the case. The age gap was massive. I mean, Davey Martinez, I think, is near my dad's age, borderline 60 years old, if not already 60. His coaching staff, all in their 50s or older. There's a 30-year gap between them and their best players. It's just kind of hard to relate to those young kids at that level. And these young guys growing up now, I mean, coming through some top college programs like LSU and Dylan Cruz, some of the top high school programs, IMG Academy, a la James Wood, they are already kind of versed in analytical numbers coming in. And then when that's not applied at the major league level or spoken to or distributed in a more clear way, there's can be a lot of confusion there. So I think Paul Toboni showed what he thinks of this organization as a whole right now when he made this hire and saying, this is a more of a long-term project. That's okay. Let's get a young guy here that, one, can help relate to this young roster, two, help develop at the major league level, i.e. his player development background, which I wrote about on MassSports.com yesterday. And then three, be young enough where, this could be like, his job for the next 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 plus years because he's so young. He's just starting his managing career. So, ideally, this is one of the last, this is the only managerial hire Paul Toboni has to make over the next decade plus. Whenever Butera decides, all right, I'm going to move back into the front office. I can't do the line and grind. I've won my 3 World Series rings. I'm good. That's the ideal scenario here, but it's going to take some time. And I think Nats fans need to realize that.
It's definitely going to take some time. And I think, just kind of as you mentioned, Butera is going to have the time to grow with this team. Right. This is not a finished product. Things are going to happen in the next few years. You're going to see free agents walk. You're going to see trades happen. You're going to have more talent come in. Hopefully some big-time free agent signings and big-time trades. There are a lot of different things that will happen. And it's going to allow Butera to grow with this team. But speaking of growing with this team, Bobby, there have been some growing rumors surrounding some big-time stars with the Nationals. So let's jump into that after this. Before that, the NBA is back, and there is no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. And plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout, and it keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. I can't relate to that. I'm a Wizards fan, but still, I have fun betting over on the points for Alex Sarr, which hit last night, and also the over on the total points of the game. So right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. We are back into it with Bobby Blanco from MassandSports.com. You can catch Bobby over on Twitter at Bobby_Blanco, myself at Ryan Clary11. It's Bobby_Blanco, right?
Correct. Good job.
I know. I remembered it. We've done that. We've done this a time or two here, Bobby. But let's get into some trade rumors here. I mean, MacKenzie Gore. Let's start out with him. We'll talk about CJ Abrams later on in the show today, but MacKenzie Gore feels as if it's pretty likely that he gets moved, Bobby. What do you think about that?
I mean, it's a great transition from the conversation we were just having about Paul Toboni viewing this as a long-term project and signaling as much when he hires a first-time 33-year-old manager in Blake Butera. If that's truly the case and he sees this, as, hey, this seems at least 2 years plus away from competing. Well, who has the highest trade value on the team and 2 years left of control? MacKenzie Gore. So it kind of almost matches up perfectly where, if you are punting on these next 2 seasons, not that they're not going to try to win, but just saying, let's take the long view here. And you're like, hey, this is going to be a last place finish. Second, we're just not going to try to go for the postseason over these next 2 years. We're going to try to build up the farm system, develop the guys we already have at the major league levels, turn James Wood, Dalen Lyle, Dylan Cruz into, perennial all-stars or just everyday solid major leaguers, then I would think that the smartest thing to do and the way to kind of jumpstart and kickstart that would be to trade MacKenzie Gore. Now, what do you get back for him? I think this is going to be very interesting to watch to see how willing Paul Toboni is to pulling that trigger, for lack of a better phrase. He mentioned that how he was involved with his time with the Red Sox in a handful of trades. And that he has been in that room and been a part of those conversations. So he kind of gets the gist. Is he going to ask for the world for MacKenzie Gore? Like a Garrett Crochet type of return? That's 4 of an organization's top prospects, by the way. Or are you going to kind of reel it in and be a little more realistic and say, hey, we are willing to take, kind of like what you alluded to at the top of the show. We'll take whatever. We'll take one of your top guys and a lower top 30 guy, or we'll take, your 26th man on the roster to fill out our rotation, but then we'll also take, a mid to top level prospect from your farm system. That's going to be the major question is how does he I think he will definitely entertain the idea. It kind of be at this point kind of foolish not to, but it's just going to be a matter of what's his asking price going to be set. We know Mike Rizzo was very good at setting asking prices and not doing anything unless they were met, or even getting more than he originally asked for. How does Paul Toboni handle this, and what could be his first major trade of his tenure?
Yeah, I think those are all like kind of just great questions with it. But Bobby, I think like Nationals fans as a whole, it's like when you hear trading a star player, like first off, everyone's like ripping their hair out. They're like, why are we doing this again? And we can discuss that at a later date. It's, in my opinion, the right move. But also I think Nationals fans have like their eyesight set on like a Juan Soto deal. They're like, oh, a star that has 2+ years left to control, or 2 years from MacKenzie Gore's case, like, oh my God, this can be like a franchise altering move. And it's like, when you look at it, I like MacKenzie Gore. I think Gore is a lot better than what his numbers indicate, but do major league general managers out there think that? Because he does have some real control issues. And if you look at some of his summer months and their stats there, like there are some real fall offs in there that have happened over the years. I believe that MacKenzie Gore is a great pitcher. I believe that he is one of the top left-handed starters in the game. But do other executives view him as that? Because again, like the Nationals have not been the best developed group. I do think if you were to go to a team like, let's say, the Dodgers or the Mariners out there, they would be able to tap into some of his capabilities there. But do other executives see that? And do Nationals fans really understand that, like, hey, this could be a really good trade. If you do trade away MacKenzie Gore, you will get a good return. But how good will it be? It's not going to be something that will completely transform this farm system. I mean, if Paul Toboni can do that, then kudos to him. That's an awesome return. But I think a lot of Nationals fans are thinking like, oh, like we're going to trade MacKenzie Gore, and then you're going to have your starting shortstop, just like we got with Juan Soto. You're also going to get an ace with MacKenzie Gore, and then you're also going to get a future superstar with James Wood. Like, that's not going to be the case here. I think a lot of Nationals fans just kind of have to expect maybe a little bit less than what a lot of people may be throwing out there. Because I threw out some crazy Cubs trade back at the deadline where I thought MacKenzie Gore would be traded. And like, I just don't think that price was ever met. Like, I was having like 3 of the Cubs' top prospects. And it's like, now I look back at that and I'm like, could the Nationals even get that at that point? Probably not. And will they be able to get that now? Certainly not. So I just feel as if we may value Gore a little bit more than what other teams out there do, because he's our ace. He's our all-star. He is a great talent. I love MacKenzie Gore. But also, I think a lot of Nationals fans may, I don't want to use the word overhype, but may overvalue him because he's been our guy here. And let's be honest, he's the only guy.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's a very fair, counterpoint or your stance on this topic. I just to argue with you, or just to play devil's advocate, I would just say, I think the Garrett Crochet trade between the two Sox is very comparable and really is at least a starting point. Like, I think Paul Toboni would not be crazy to start there. Because if you look at some of Crochet's underlying numbers and MacKenzie's underlying numbers, I think any team that's going to take on that was looking to trade for MacKenzie Gore, like a Dodgers, like maybe a Yankees, Red Sox, Cubs, all those teams have advanced analytical departments. And they will be able to look at MacKenzie Gore and be like, that guy has incredible stuff. He has ace potential. If he's anywhere else but from away from this old regime of the Nationals and a team that hasn't really embraced that, we could unlock something really crazy. And over Garrett Crochet's time with the White Sox and now MacKenzie Gore's time with the Nationals, I think there's a fair argument that MacKenzie Gore was better. And he was definitely more durable. Crochet only pitched 219 total innings over 5 seasons with the White Sox. MacKenzie Gore pitched over 130 each of the past 4 seasons. So I think there's already a durability factor. Could you imagine giving up 4 top prospects for a guy who's only pitched 219 innings over 5 seasons? That's kind of wild.
It's wild. It's certainly wild. And I don't know.
I think that's part of the reason why it's not unrealistic to at least start there with, hey, Crochet got 4 prospects. Now you could also find a team that's desperate. Look at the Yankees or maybe the Blue Jays. We're that close to winning a World Series. We just need one more ace starting pitcher. Our farm system be damned. Let's go for it. And maybe you get lucky in that sense and think, here, take our 4 top guys, go. And then I think that'd be foolish to say no to that.
Yeah, I think it would be too. Like if the Nationals again, if it were up to me, I'm trading MacKenzie Gore this offseason. Like I've done this rodeo before. I've done it. 2 years left. Like, and that is value.
So
he's got 2. It's a lot of time left. That's 2 postseason runs that you could have for a team like you're mentioning the Blue Jays or the Mariners. Like they're going to value him. And if they think MacKenzie Gore could be a stud for them, they're going to go all out for them. And they should do that. So I think that would make a lot of sense. And I think that the Nationals should absolutely consider that at the very, very least. So hopefully they get something done. And
he's going to be cheap. He's only projected to make $4.7 million in arbitration for next year. 4.7 for a possible frontline starter, a guy that could be like your game 2, game 3 starter in the postseason. Yeah. That's nothing especially for those teams like the Red Sox, Yankees, Dodgers. Like you're going to be paying this guy under $10 million over the next 2 seasons. I think that's, again, a part of the reason why it's not unrealistic to ask for the house when coming, because he's got no money attached to him and he's got ace kind of stuff. And if you get him the right system, he could be one of the best pitchers in the game, like we've seen already. I mean, he was in a terrible, former system that did not develop players very well and did not, especially starting pitchers.
Yeah.
And he still was an all-star this year and one of the best, maybe not as consistent, but at times one of the best starting pitchers in the National League. Any team that has a solid player development staff can make him into probably a one of the most consistent best starting pitchers in the National League or whatever league it is.
Yeah, no. And also think of it this way. Like, I think this might be the worst thing to happen to the Nationals, but like if a Tariq Skubal trade happens, then like, oh my God, like what a disaster. Because then
that's a great point.
Like if Skubal gets traded this year, then it's like, ooh, like, because he's got 1 year left on his deal. Like, he's the best pitcher in baseball. Everyone's going to be lining up to get Tariq Skubal if you think that you can win a World Series in 2026. And also, like, with the impending free agency and the impending lockout, like, things could happen. Maybe Skubal is more likely to sign an extension. Maybe MacKenzie Gore feels as if he's ready to sign an extension for that. Like, we do not know. This is such a weird offseason. Next year is going to be even weirder. But I think if Skubal gets in the mix and let's say the Tigers are like, yep, like we're not close to an extension, we're going to shop him. That could ruin the Nationals trade market here. But if they do decide to hold on to him, then, oh my gosh, let's get going and let's trade MacKenzie Gore because teams are going to be willing to trade for one of the top lefties in all of baseball. I think that's fair to say. But Bobby, he's not the only star and not the only former all-star to have his name in trade rumors at this point. We're also talking about CJ Abrams. I've got a take on that. I'll tell you more after this. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, and you and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement of this sports season, whether you're following the NFL, NBA, or both. There's no better time to jump in on the action. And if you haven't tried it yet, Prize Picks is the simplest way to play. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats, and if you get them right, you win. It takes less than 60 seconds to make your lineup, and you can play anywhere Prize Picks operates, including California, Texas, and of course, the big state of Georgia. Plus, if one of your players leaves early with an injury, the injury reboot can save you. It's done that before with me. For instance, when I had a Seth Curry, more on his points. He got injured in the first quarter. You know what? Prize Picks did not allow me to lose that bet. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. So we just talked about a MacKenzie Gore trade, but that's not it. CJ Abrams has been floated in some trade rumors, Bobby, and I'll just go on the record and say this now. I'm not willing to trade Abrams just yet. I'm not ready to move off him. I think having an everyday player who plays middle infield, who has the ability to have 30 home runs, like a 30-30 season each and every single season. I think he's improved a lot offensively. There are some inconsistency issues, but my thing with that is he's not your franchise shortstop. I would move him over to second base. I've talked about that all season long at this point. I'd go out there and try to sign maybe a Ha-Sung Kim if that's possible. We'll see. But also maybe even like a Nasim Nunez. Like we don't really know at this point. It's so early. But Bobby, I'm not willing to move off of Abrams.
My bad.
It's all good.
I muted myself during your talk. All right, your read. I would. This is a little more of a easier call for me in terms of the MacKenzie Gore trade. I wouldn't either move off of him because I just don't. There's no one. If you move off from him, and this is a guy who's projected to make $5.6 million in arbitration this year, and he's controlled through 2028. But if you decide to move him this offseason, you got to take that. I'm guessing that's your budget for shortstop, right? So you got to take that and make that your starting everyday shortstop. I mean, move him to second base or whatever. I mean, you just have a hole in the infield. So I don't think 5.8 is going to go out and sign a veteran guy to be your everyday shortstop. And not quite sure Nasim Nunez is offensively ready to be the everyday starter in any position on the infield on the major league roster. He's a great guy off the bench, great guy, to plug and play when there's an injury, but to play 150 plus, that would be an awful hard ask for someone who has limited major league experience. So CJ has a lot of value right now. I think his biggest dig is that he's so inconsistent. I mean, his last 2 or 3 years have been defined by tales of two halves in each one. Like he has one good first half and a terrible second half, or vice versa. I mean, it's just so inconsistent. I just don't think any team will view that as like, all right, this guy is going to be worth a handful of prospects or something like that. I just think that the Nationals right now, you do need low-cost players to play and who have proven themselves to play at the major league level. And if you trade a MacKenzie Gore, there's just no one ready to immediately step up, especially in this farm system. Like Eli Willits is so far away. Luke Dickerson's not ready. There's no one to really step up to be the guy, and I don't think they're going to go out and sign someone to be that guy at a premium position.
And I think it's even like a deeper conversation than that because, like, number one, you're right. Like, the inconsistencies will certainly hold back what you get in a return for Abrams because, like, I like Abrams, but a team's not going to trade for him to be their franchise shortstop. I assume a team that would trade for him is like, again, same thing with MacKenzie Gore. Like they're right there. They need another piece. And maybe he plays shortstop like 60 games out of the season, but ultimately will be a second base and will DH some. Like that's kind of the way that I view CJ Abrams. And I think he'll be a good second baseman. I've kind of seen enough. I don't think he's a shortstop in Major League Baseball. I think he just is way too inconsistent. Maybe if you really hone in on the defensive craft, maybe he can get better. But I've just kind of seen it with him. Like I'm not ready to be like, yeah, he's going to be my franchise shortstop moving forward. But there's a couple reasons as to why I wouldn't trade him. number one, I don't think the value would be that crucial in a return because the inconsistencies are there. And is he a shortstop? Is he a second baseman? And if he is a second baseman, obviously that brings his value down even a little bit more. So I don't think the value in return would be comparable to what CJ Abrams could be if you do tap into that talent. And with this whole discussion, talking about trading guys and kind of reaching their ceiling, what Paul Toboni and the Boston Red Sox did best was having their young players reach their ceiling. Like Roman Anthony came in, and no one's Roman Anthony on this roster at this point. Maybe it's James Wood, but I mean, we saw him completely change things with the Red Sox. Like they just traded Rafael Devers, one of the best hitters in baseball, and they went on a run in the second half. And it's not all to credit Paul Toboni, but this is someone who had huge say in what they were doing. He was going to be the next guy. Like he ran their draft. He was big part of their player development staff there. Like this is someone who certainly was hands-on in the organization. And you saw a lot of these younger guys really play well down the stretch. And I think Toboni definitely deserves a lot of credit with that. So I kind of want to see what Paul Toboni can do with it. And even if they do decide to hang on to MacKenzie Gore, I certainly think they will decide to hang on to Abrams. Like I think Abrams could take a step up. Maybe you make some tweaks. MacKenzie Gore under Paul Toboni, maybe he really goes in and becomes one of the best pitchers in the National League, and he finally takes that next step that we've been waiting for. So I think that there's a lot of things to consider, especially with having a new regime here, Bobby. But just to kind of bring it back to Abrams, this is going to be a big name to watch because I do think the trade rumors will be real. I mean, it's going to take Paul Toboni to come out and say, we're not trading this guy. And that'll kind of wipe away all this talk surrounding him. MacKenzie Gore is a whole different monster. I think the everything's already gone there. Like the train has already left the station on that front in my mind. There's really no way of pulling that back in. I think MacKenzie Gore is kind of like the guy that you will see traded this offseason. And again, I don't know if you saw, MLB trade rumors actually had him as the number one trade candidate. Like the train is gone. Like it's basically at the other destination. I mean, it's and CJ Abrams was on that list too.
He's 23.
Yeah, he was number 23.
Yep.
Oh wow. So I mean, yeah, like this is certainly going to be something to watch this offseason, but it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with you. And my biggest argument as to why not to trade these two guys would be, let's see what Paul Toboni's staff can do with them. I mean, like, and I believe my math is right. CJ is just a year behind MacKenzie in terms of reaching free agency. So we could be having this conversation at this time next year about CJ. And if Toboni and his staff do what they did with Roman Anthony to CJ Abrams, and he just has a breakout, consistent, full season next year, then you're talking about, okay, his trade value will never be higher because I think it's not that high right now. And I think when it comes to trading CJ Abrams, the team most interested in doing that would probably be the Nationals. Can't think of a team that will be so very eager to jump the gun and go get CJ right now. MacKenzie for sure, CJ not so much because he hasn't been as consistent. And the Nationals are looking to maybe reboot this farm system. But yeah, if both of those guys get one season under this new regime and this new player development staff and this new coaching staff that Blake Butera is going to put together, and they just have crazy seasons, then one, okay, maybe you could make the argument you missed the boat with MacKenzie, but two, you're like, all right, well, CJ's value's never been higher. This is a conversation for next offseason. Now, do you extend him or do you trade him? And then, of course, the looming lockout is going to be a major part. I don't think we're going to see a lot of extensions signed in the next two offseasons because I don't think owners are going to want to be paying a lot of money when there's not going to be baseball in 2027.
Yeah, that's going to be a whole new discussion. I mean, I'm already stressing about so when this lockout does happen and when it's April and they're not in Florida getting ready for baseball, what am I going to be talking about?
February.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be we're going to be talking about a lot of 2019 World Series.
Well, on the flip side, and I mean, not to completely divert this conversation, but it makes me wonder, a player like MacKenzie Gore, who is 2 years from free agency, but we're not sure there's going to be a 2027 season. He's a Scott Boras guy. Will we see Boras guys more likely or more willing to sign extensions before free agency because they're not sure if there's going to be a 2027 season, and owners don't want to hand out a lot of money next offseason because there might not be games. So
we do not know.
The economy of baseball is going to be so crazy over these next 18 months, starting now until, spring 2027.
There's so much unknown. And it's like, again, like I think that the ripple effect from a lockout, like it starts now. Like do players want to sign huge deals, or do they want to do like a 1-year deal and see what happens next year? And maybe there's more money flow. Like there's just so much unknown, Bobby. I don't know.
I think if you're a player who's lucky enough to be in the position like a MacKenzie Gore or CJ, I guess to a lesser extent, where you have a realistic and reasonable request for an extension, he's like, I would like to sign a long-term deal now. Like, because you're just like, I'm looking at the future. I want to make sure me and my family are protected if I'm not playing or if there are no games in 2027. So I'll sign my deal now and just make sure I have that money. That makes sense. On the flip side, I don't think that makes sense for owners. I don't think owners are going to want to do that because they're going to be like, we're going to have no cash coming in for possibly a full season in 2027. That's going to drain our pockets. We're not doing that. So it's going to be, I think we're going to see a lot of tension between players and owners and teams, maybe not just owners, but starting this offseason, because I think you're going to see players start being like, I would sign a long-term deal now. And owners are going to be like, no, we're not doing that because we're not going to be paying you $35 million in 2027 to sit on your couch at home. Like, it's going to be fascinating. I mean, this winter meetings is going to be either super crazy or super boring, but also interesting because there are going to be a lot of butting heads.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's going to be a movie, as the kids would say. But all right, Bobby, we are out of time today, but always appreciate you hopping on the show. Do you have any stories coming up the pipe or anything that you have discussed over on massinsports.com that you'd like to talk about?
Like I mentioned earlier, I talked about the how Butera's background and player development appeal to Toboni and the Nationals, and how that was a part of why they chose to go with him as their manager. I also have a breakdown of the Nats spring training schedule that just came out yesterday.
Team Venezuela playing against the Nationals
in West Palm Beach. They also play the Yankees and Phillies in West Palm Beach, and then that home series back up here in Baltimore and DC against the Orioles, which should be fun. Didn't talk about Butera's connection to Craig Albertaz, the new Orioles manager, who shouted him out and might be attending Butera's press conference in the next couple of days or whenever that is. But we'll have definitely full coverage of Butera's presser whenever that happens. And Amy Jennings and I will have our own podcast coming up on Friday for breaking down even more what Toboni said about Butera's role as the new manager and stuff like that. So look forward to that.
A lot of Nats content coming your way, courtesy of Bobby Blanco, massinsports.com. I'm Ryan Clary here on Locked On Nationals. We'll have Bobby on again soon. I'm sure of it. So Bobby, always appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. I really appreciate you having me back on. I really enjoyed it.
Of course. And we'll talk to you guys in a little bit. Have a good one. Go Nats.